Hi everyone, welcome to another community called ResearchHub. Several items on agenda now, and we'll start with the homepage redesign feedback. Thomas, can you present, or do you need a moment?
Yeah, I can present.
Okay.
So just a little bit of context here. The idea is that when you currently go to ResearchHub, you can only see like 2 or 3 different papers above the fold. So we wanted to try and basically increase the information density on ResearchHub's homepage. So that way, like when you first stumble onto the site, you can see in theory, the most content that we can possibly display.
Yeah. So right now, our current page, you kind of have to scroll down a little bit to see all the posts. Can you guys hear me okay, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah, so I did a design where you can basically fit, it's like more compact. So this is the same page, but on my local host. So this is the same data. I'm just getting this data from production, but sort of previewing it with my changes. So if you can kind of compare here, before you could only see down to like this one here, original data, antibody neutralization, and now that's like sort of here. So you can fit like a little bit more data. Another thing we were thinking of doing, and we wanted some feedback on, is there's like these 2 lines of like the abstract sort of, or it's kind of like a preview of the post. So that we have that currently on production as well, but we were thinking about removing it in order to make things even more compact. So here, if I just like delete this, I can sort of show what it looks like. So if we remove that text, we can basically fit actually all 10 posts on my monitor, at least in one screen without needing to scroll down. So we wanted to like get people's opinions on like if this text was providing enough info that it was like worth keeping, or should we just like kill it basically in order to fit more content above the fold?
Yeah, so the first sentence of the abstract, no way it gives enough context. So
Agreed.
my vote is that you should go. I do think that there should be something in there besides just the title. So maybe we can think of what information we can populate it with, maybe tags, or maybe, I don't know, smaller images, logo of the journal, something like that.
Yeah, so we are going to fit like a small image on the right side here. If there is like an image or something, or maybe like the journal's image, that could work as well. Right now for papers, we are doing something like that. Like we sort of show this preview of the PDF. So the same thing is going to be like in the new design as well. I just don't have it right now, but in this blank space on the right will be like a preview or an image, or maybe something for the journal. Yeah.
Thomas, you see this comment, maybe hovering over the post reveals the abstract. It's kind of a slick way to display it.
Yeah, that we could play around with something like that as well. So yeah, just if anyone has any general thoughts on like the new, more compact design. Yeah, before we used to have like these cards, these individual cards where there was sort of like spacing in between the cards as well. In this design, they're sort of like all right next to each other, and yeah. So yeah, if anyone has any feedback, we'd love to hear it right now. Oh, and I guess something else to show. Before we had like images for these, a bunch of like images for the hubs and stuff, and we decided to just like make it a bit cleaner and just show like the hub name here and not show like too many images. We're still showing like the profile image, but that's kind of it. Yeah, yeah. The idea is to like make it cleaner, and This is a little broken on my local machine, but the drop down kind of is still the same for the rest of the hubs.
Nick?
So I definitely like the cleaner layout. I was just wondering, would it be possible to somehow make it, if the paper has an editorialized kind of jargon-free title, if that's visible from that page versus having to click the title and then seeing it? Because that might help someone segue into reading a paper, whereas the title may be a little bit too complex and they might kind of scroll past it.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. We could play around with something like that. Maybe like an option to like, I don't know, somewhere on the page to like show editorialized titles instead of, or if you didn't like the editorialized titles, you just wanted to see like the official name for the paper, like an option to like always see those, something like that. Yeah, I think the editorialized title is the default right now on the site.
Ricardo?
Yeah, so I was thinking if maybe the journal cover provides more information than the preview of the paper PDF itself, because they're all pretty similar. While the journal cover, you can kind of like recognize where the paper is coming from. Also, it adds, given that it's really a lot like black and white now that we're making it like more compact, it gives a lot of it gives more color, makes it a little bit more colorful. So it could be an idea.
Okay, so like the journal's like logo, or what were you imagining we show for
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, like the logo. I don't know how you call it. Like the cover. Let's say the image for each. I can put some examples in the Slack channel. Yeah, but like basically the logo of the journal.
I think
Okay.
I had to do this before, Thomas. I don't know. This might have been before you joined the team full time, but we tried to do this, and we had like a little bit of trouble grabbing logos for every journal and associate them with the papers properly. So like it would work, but like 85% of the time. So there were some like funny images that came out. We ended up scrapping that feature, but I think we're probably like 80% of the way there to do it right. So we could revisit and try and get it perfect. If you all thought it would be nice to like have those images in that context.
Yeah. So just to sum it up, you were having problem with like finding the images of the logo of the journal itself.
There's just a lot
Yeah,
of,
maybe for
so we'd have
okay.
to like manually grab like basically like 1,000 different logos and like associate them with specific titles. So we could do it. It's just like it's a non-trivial amount of work to get it working properly.
I think it could something like, for example, me as like the biosensing editor, like it could be something that I could do as the editor of the biosensing hub. So like, for example, providing the cover for biosensor and bioelectronics, nature, advanced materials and stuff like that. I think it's, if we split it up between editors, it's kind of like way easier to make it.
Totally. Yeah, it's a great suggestion. I'll sync up with Pat Liu to see exactly why we ended up pulling this feature. And then if it's actually like we need manual labor done, we can set out some bounties in order to help get that going. So it's a great idea.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Patrick?
awesome. Does anyone else have any feedback?
Yeah, Satyak has a hand.
Yeah, I had just two questions regarding the user experience side of this. So one, I just checked Reddit, and the max posts that I could see were around 4, right? So is there any benefit from a UX point of view to adding a lot more density on the homepage?
So Reddit gives you a couple different options. They used to have it a lot more condensed than they do now. I think now they're trying to focus on like images and really like sell ads, sell videos that pop up within the feed. If you look at Hacker News is another example of like a technologist forum that things are incredibly condensed. So if you go to like Y Combinator or Hacker News, it's like extremely minimalistic within their default UI. See right here. So we're trying to go somewhere in between. I think that Reddit does it their default UI is more based on sales. Like they're trying to help increase advertising revenue. And in theory, we want to increase the amount of information conveyed within like one page.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Another thing that I wanted to ask was, is showing the latest activity really that important from a UX point of view? Because then that can free up a lot of space for us.
So this is, oh, you mean on the right side?
Yeah.
Yeah, curious what you all think here. I have mixed feelings. I kind of feel like this page on the right side, it's similar to the abstracts where there's not enough context to totally show what's going on within the comments. But at the same time, now that the editor program is like up and running and pretty full-fledged, it's really great showing up on the homepage and not having to click to the live feed and being able to see right here 19 minutes ago. That's very recent. So when people show up to the new page, they're like, oh, somebody commented 19 minutes ago, like this thing's alive. Like there are lots of people here. So I think there's benefits to having the latest activity on the front page. Thanks, Ricardo.
I think it's also a great opportunity to actually like discover new hubs, because otherwise you will not find them. And like in this way, you can see like it happened to me a couple times that I was discovering like new hubs or like papers from outside my field thanks to the latest activity on the right. Otherwise, it'd be more difficult to find it.
Yeah, I do feel that it's getting a little bit too big of a scale for it to function properly, right? Especially if there is a lot of users. Sometimes I do struggle going through it, but maybe if we could improve it somehow, condense it. Not sure.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a design iteration or two that we can do on the right sidebar to make it a little bit more effective at communicating information. We can think about this a little bit more. But yeah, I guess returning to like the middle column. Does anybody else have any like last thoughts on this before we move on to the next topic? Cool. Well, thank you, Thomas. Appreciate you kind of showing that off.
Yeah, no worries.
All right.
Try and get it shipped in a few days.
Okay, so the next topic, expanding hub presence, discussing experiences and ideas on academic newsletters and Twitter. Does anyone in this call have experience working with it? Trying to push ResearchHub through Twitter or academic newsletters that they would like to share experiences? Or if you haven't, do you have any thoughts on it? How would you do it if you were to do it? When would be the right moment, etc.? So, Linda, would you like to make a Twitter account for like your personal account or as an editor? How would you frame it?
As an editor, I was thinking, I mean, I saw a couple editors of hubs have made Twitters for their account, but I've never done anything like that, like use, social media for something like this. So I definitely am here, like trying to, here to get advice on how that's done, what people have done, how they've been successful, et cetera. Because I'd love to expand, my hub's presence, and things are getting to the point where like the website's functioning better and, I want to start sharing, et cetera. But I don't really know what to do or where to start.
So when this is like the perfect, I think, use case, because what we'd like to do is be able to provide like a bunch of materials. So that way someone who's like never really done social media marketing before would be able to like pick it up and do it on their own, relatively seamlessly. So I guess when it comes to like information that you would like to have in order to like market your hub on your own, like what type of stuff would you like, just information wise? So that way we can create some documents that help everybody to kind of standardize their social media outreach. So when people see like tweets about ResearchHub from each individual hub, everything can look like super standardized and smooth and kind of like have an air of professionalism to it. So yeah, curious like, exactly what type of documents that you'd like to see in order to start like doing social media outreach.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff you said, like, I wasn't sure if we wanted to have, for example, like a standard for how all these ResearchHub Twitters would look. Like, are people just going off on their own, or are we all trying to do the same thing? Like, how do we, obviously we're representing the company when we do this. So, guidelines, what's appropriate to post, what isn't, what kind of posts we should engage in, all of that, so we don't make ourselves or ResearchHub look stupid. That's the one hand. And also what is, tips to like being good at social media, if that makes sense, beyond like, being safe and not making the company and yourself look stupid. Like, how do we increase engagement? Because again, that's something that a lot of us might not have experience with, myself included. So those are the two big things that I would like to see laid out personally.
Okay, cool. So just to repeat that back to make sure I've got it. Like the first is kind of like brand identity. And I think we have Wafa working on that, just sort of like documents around like the tone of social media stuff coming from ResearchHub. And then the second is like actual like growth hacking instructions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Ricardo, do you have any thoughts here? We talked about this a little bit earlier.
Yeah, so I think it should definitely be standardized in a way that, as you said, like once someone sees a tweet from a specific hub, it can like immediately recognize that is from ResearchHub. So maybe like standardizing the way by which like we create the accounts, like maybe putting like RH and then the name of the hub, stuff like this, and then standardizing the content. As for the brand identity, I will get in touch with Wafa and see like what she's done in that direction. But just for repeating what he said, I think it's really important to create a strong identity for ResearchHub that can be basically shared between the different hubs.
I guess one other question I have here too is one thing that I've learned works well as like a forcing function in business is just having like a regular call for people to be able to like check up and see how things are going. So Lynn, do you think it'd be useful if we like publicized maybe like once a month like a ResearchHub social media outreach call where like anybody who wants to do this can show up, ask questions, have some kind of like community around like the social media outreach?
I mean, it would be helpful for me because again, I've never done this before. So, for me, but can't speak for other people. But yeah, I mean, I would go to something like that, especially when I'm getting started. Yeah.
Would anybody else like that? Because I could think of like a bunch of little workshops we could do in order to like help people post to like Reddit, Instagram, Twitter, that kind of thing.
I think if it was like maybe not on like a monthly basis every single month, but maybe like right now to kind of bootstrap some of the social media pages would make a lot of sense. Things like looking at how many impressions are on each post and like what times you should be posting, like stuff like that is pretty relevant.
Yeah, that's not even something I had even thought of, like when is the best time, etc.
Okay,
especially
cool.
the frequency of like how much you post, because that is also important, really, really important. So we should maybe like start doing something, then adjust based on like how we see like people react to our posts and so on. So as Jeffrey said, maybe having a call for like kickstarting this, and then having like an update call and see how it is going, and then maybe adjust based on that.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I'll chat with some people who are good at social media and see if we can organize a call in the next week or so if everybody wants to join. Jennifer?
Yeah, I was wondering, are we talking about like having a different Twitter account for each hub, or I feel like that might be kind of a lot of Twitter accounts. Maybe we should collaborate among common hubs that are kind of more related to each other, and collaborate across hubs and have 4 or 5 Twitter feeds or something like that where we're working together. Because I think if every editor of each hub had a separate one, I think I don't know. On Twitter, I just think it would look kind of like trolls or something. It wouldn't look like they're from real, legitimate sources. If there's too many of that look the same. Does that make sense? Because sometimes people will kind of try to mimic someone else's Twitter feed and try to pretend they're someone else. So if we have too many that have all the same kind of formatting, it's very easy for someone with nefarious intents to kind of copy that. And it's harder for Twitter users to differentiate those.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I have my own thoughts, but first, Kobe and then Ricardo.
Yeah, I guess the immediate reaction I have to creating Twitter accounts in order to promote ResearchHub. And I could be wrong. I really could be wrong about this. But yeah, as was said before, it may seem a little body. The best, from my experience, the best like social media, I guess, boost that I've seen usually comes from personal accounts. So actual people promoting. But then on the other side of it, I do understand that people here may not want to use their own personal Twitter accounts. So my question is, do you think that we should be creating new Twitter accounts, or should we be using personal Twitter accounts when possible?
So my thought here is that we need an expert to tell us what to do. That we should probably find like somebody who's good at social media within our community and let them be in charge and help to like dictate like what the best recommendations are, because I have no idea. And like I think a lot of people here would just be going off sort of gut feelings. So I know Wafa's pretty good at it. We can talk to her, see what she thinks. She might know somebody who would be able to chip in as well. Ricardo?
Yeah, so to basically touch base on both like comments from Jennifer and Kobe. So as for what Jennifer said, I think you know that the proposal passed for like the new hub structure and so on, and we are lucky enough to basically have like 6 big disciplines, 6 big fields. So in case you think the problem is the number of the accounts and want to reduce it to like 5 or 6, we could have a solution for that. And it's like main fields like natural sciences or health sciences and engineering, stuff like that. As for what Kobe said, I think it's like it really depends. Like some people like to keep their private life and let's say working life separate. Others like to mix it. So yeah, I think we should probably seek an advice from someone that is more an expert in this field.
Malik?
Yeah, just one small thing I wanted to add was like I do second the concerns that were mentioned, but one thing, if we have like the 6 hubs now, that then we can make accounts that have those check marks on Twitter. Like some people are getting those, like to avoid spam and stuff like that. Then we can know that this is a verified ResearchHub account and won't have to worry about it. I don't know how hard it is to get one of those check marks, but yeah, just a comment. Yeah. Okay, it's very hard. Okay, all right. Yeah, people are commenting. Okay, all right. Well,
sometimes you can do it if you like know somebody at Twitter, so we could try and like network our way there, because I know there's some people with 1,000 followers who have it, but even our main ResearchHub account we're not verified yet. So
yeah.
Okay.
Satvik?
Yeah, so I've done content marketing for companies as well as individuals. And in the long run, I'd recommend that we go with hub-specific accounts instead of going for personal accounts. Because in the long run, people might change, and it might happen that they are no longer affiliated with ResearchHub, but they have a large audience that associates them with the company. Right? So it's better to have hub accounts that aren't specific to any one person. Right? Also, just wanted to quickly add in here that we should also manage our expectations, because any form of marketing where we aren't directly paying we should expect to do the work for 6 to 9 months without expecting any great returns. Right? After 6 to 9 months we can, but I think that's just also an important point to put up here.
Yeah, it's always like building a following takes a while. It's like those graphs where it's like at 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then 1, and then 10, and then 90. Satvik, I'll get you in touch with the people working on social media stuff if you feel like contributing some strategy there. I think it'd be helpful if you've had experience.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool, thank you. Jeff?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on, I guess, how many different hubs we would like to be
we would like to have as a Twitter account. So I think if we just filtered it down to like 6 or 7 hubs that were the discipline based on the disciplines, I think someone's research of interest would get muffled. You'd have to see so many other posts that are irrelevant to your research of interest that you would probably lose interest in wanting to like follow up with that Twitter page. So I think having a little bit more granularity would be good, or maybe it could filter down to like one person in control of a few hubs, and then maybe all of those hubs can feed into that one person, and that person can divvy them up into the appropriate Twitter account.
I'm thinking too, there's an element of like hashtags here where in order to like tap into niche communities, if there's a tweet about a paper where there's a niche community on Twitter, like leveraging the hashtags they already use in order to get in front of them, rather than necessarily having like a very specific like niche Twitter account that always tweets in that subfield, could be a compromise. Yes, Jennifer?
Yeah, so I was thinking because of how challenging it is to get verified, and it might be worth considering focusing on the social media side to focus on just getting that ResearchHub Twitter, the main one, gaining a following there, and getting that particular Twitter handle kind of verified and up and running. And then once that one grows to a big enough audience, then once that main one tweets out the sub hubs, there's already a built-in audience that will see, oh, I actually really want to follow this, this sub hub that is more specific to my interests. But I think there might be some benefit in kind of focusing with just a one first, or versus all of us kind of doing multiple ones.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great point too. So I'm pretty much the only person running the main Twitter account right now, and I'm definitely not very good at social media. So if anybody ever thinks that something should be tweeted from the main ResearchHub account, feel free to DM me. Maybe we can even do like a Slack channel here where like anybody can like phrase copy 4 tweets and I can share them, if I feel like it fits the like tone of the main Twitter account. Yeah, because there's even stuff like the RIP1 that was passed where it didn't even cross my mind to tweet about it. So like if anybody wants to bother me, like feel free, because the more stuff that we have coming out of our main Twitter, the better off we'll be. And it just doesn't cross my mind in the same way. So definitely feel free to ping me if you guys ever want tweets.
Another idea that I've seen, I guess, in social media is this concept of like Twitter or Instagram takeovers, where you invite, like if you were to invite an expert in a specific field to do a Twitter takeover of ResearchHub, and if that particular researcher or is someone who kind of more well-known and might already have some of the following, you can kind of cross, kind of bring in more people that way, and it's kind of fun and changes things up. Or even like within different hubs, we could do little Twitter takeovers and things like that, instead of dividing us into separate ones.
I love it. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, I'm thinking we definitely need another call sometime the next week or two for like social media strategy where we can zero in on a bunch of different things we could potentially do. Does anybody have any other thoughts here? Because we're about half an hour in, just want to make sure we can fit all the topics. Cool. Anton, do you know what we have next?
Sure. Quick topic next up. What about duplicate posting protection? So a few users have reached out and asked what are the systems right now in place preventing the duplicate posting. And my understanding is that if you create a post using a link, that has been experienced for me, and it already exists on ResearchHub, and I'm guessing it's comparing the entity just based on the link that you use, right? Not based on the GUI. And if it's already on ResearchHub, it gives you the warning message that it's already there. However, if you upload the PDF, it looks like people can submit the same stuff several times. Is that correct or not really?
Oh, interesting. So you're saying that our duplicate protections don't work when people upload PDFs, that it's only checking like the title of the paper, the URL?
It looks that way, but I'm not sure. Can someone confirm that they can submit the PDF, the same thing twice?
That happened to me once with the Neuralink white paper. Yeah, I looked for the title and I found the duplicate basically. It had a different editorialized title, but the paper itself was the same. Yeah.
Yeah, it could come from the confusion. It appears that regular papers that they have the true title somewhere, right? That can be edited, that's automatically generated, and it's pulled from the website where you upload the article. And it looks like this is what ResearchHub checks for when it compares for duplicates, right? And I don't know how the true title is generated based on the PDF. Is it something users put in the fields themselves?
Kobe, do you know how we're currently double checking for duplicates? I know we are fixing the paper upload right now, though. So this is something that we're probably working on addressing kind of intermediate.
Yeah, there is we do have a check in place for the DOI. So like if you upload a paper with the same DOI, even a PDF, it should throw an error, but it's very easily you can circumvent that the check. As far as like checking titles, like comparing comparing titles of two different papers to make sure that they match in order to mitigate duplicates, I don't think we do that. I really don't think so, but I could be wrong.
Is there any plans to allow users to edit the true title that would actually change the the URL of the page, or no such plans?
The URL, so like the actual URL of the not at the moment. Is there any particular reason, Anton, for you wanting to do that?
Well, with the paper flow right now, there is a number of journals from which ResearchHub struggles pulling the metadata, and instead of the title, usually they would create like APA psychinfo, like the name of the overall database or something like that. And then we would have a number of papers on ResearchHub that have the correct editorialized title, but their true title would be the same, number of letters just representing the database.
Interesting. Can you send me an example of that? I'll take a look. I'm going to be working on the paper upload. I'm just finishing some stuff up this week, and I guess in about 2.5 weeks we should have a new paper upload flow in place.
Sounds good. All right. I guess if anyone has any thoughts on the matter, or should we move on? Okay. Then the new topic is how to engage lurking users. And I guess the starting question would be, how do we know how many lurking users are there per hub? Do you think we should try to extract some sort of proportion, the number of lurking users to active users per hub? Would this be something informative or not, to try to specifically convert them?
What is our definition of a lurking user? Is it just a user that does not contribute but reads?
Yeah, I guess it could be either people who just read, or maybe read and upvote. But I guess if they upvote, they are considered the active contributors for the metric. But at the same time, do we want the upvote only users to start interacting with other users, or that's fine?
Would be an interesting metric to have, definitely. Just to know, like, I don't expect there to be, like, just talking about my hub, a lot of like lurking users. Could also be like, maybe sometimes if you have a lot of lurking users, could be like the language you're using that is a little bit too frightening, or like how you posing the questions are too specific. Like, so that could be a good metric to analyze, just in general, just to have. an add-on, definitely.
So I'm pretty sure we can look up, or maybe not find exactly how many like solo workers we have, but we can estimate it with a certain degree of accuracy. I do know that our conversion rate, which is like the total number of visitors to ResearchHub, how many are actually active contributors, is something like 5 or 6%, which is very, very, very high for a social media website. I think on Reddit, it's like 1% of the total like people who show up to Reddit actually sign in and do any kind of like actions, upvotes, comments, posts. And then it's another 1 out of 100 of those people who actually share posts. Like most people just upvote. So it's like typically some extremely small percentage of the total like population of people that show up to a website that are actually posting things. So yeah, in general, we're really high on the ratio of contributors to workers, but I think a lot of that is because of the editor program, where like a decent portion like of our user base is coming every day with the intention of posting. So yeah, once our numbers get a little bigger, it'll probably get closer to what Reddit's ratios are. But yeah, just a little bit of context where we're doing okay, but there definitely are people who are just purely consuming content, and they even tweeted us sometimes like telling us to fix things, you know, but they don't like I don't see them on the active contributor list. Kobe?
Yeah, I just a thought occurred to me. So like one thing that New York Times and Medium and a lot of these different news websites do is actually after they let you read for a while and then they block you with a paywall. Now, I'm not saying we should do that. I hate paywalls, but it can be, we can take something, a lesson learned from them, and at least like surface a message after I don't know, after they read 5 or so different papers or visit X number of pages on the site, and kind of like show a modal or something like that, saying like, hey, you should join ResearchHub because you will whatever, insert content here. So that's one way of tackling this, because I do believe, and we need to look into it more deeply, but based on my experience with other sites, I think that there is a lot of users that do visit sites and they never even create an account. And I would like to even, like as a first step, just get them to create accounts. And then, you know, there is the post content, that's a separate issue. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, so a couple thoughts here. The first is if you use Reddit and go to like kind of smaller subreddits, sometimes they'll like push you a pop-up after you've been on the page for a little bit that says like, hey, if you post something, 1,500 people show up here every week. So 1,500 people will see this and like they might respond to your thing. So try and post something. So I think that's like an option. Maybe like a year ago, even a little bit more, Pat Lou and I were kind of like toying around with the idea of trying to do like very lightweight peer reviews. And so we had this pop-up that would show up if you were on a paper page for more than a minute. Like if you were on the same page for more than 60 seconds, a pop-up would show up that said 1 to 10, how did you like this paper? Just to see if people would click it. And Brian hated that idea. Like he hated a pop-up distracting from the content like a lot. So I think like I don't think we want paywalls. We don't want to like put any barriers to like people accessing the knowledge within ResearchHub. But I do kind of like the Reddit system where they do like a little mini kind of subtle thing to encourage you to post. I think we can, but I think that Brian would probably not be a huge fan.
Yeah, another thing that occurred to me when I was yeah, at some point, I forget when, but like another thing that occurred to me was if a paper or a piece of a post or whatever doesn't have any comments, it'll be I think it may have an impact to have some kind of a call to action at the very top, saying like this paper is no engagement. Be the first one to write a comment, and maybe as the first person writing a comment, maybe there is a little bit of an incentive associated with it.
Yeah, totally. I think we definitely do something like that.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah. So have you ever been to any normal blog, and when you were just about to exit, you receive a pop-up asking you to sign up for their newsletter or something? So could that possibly be a way that we go forward? So when somebody is about to exit, they receive a pop-up that we are decentralizing science and you should help in the mission, something like that.
Yeah, I kind of like that, especially if somebody's been on a couple pages. I see Nicholas has kind of a similar idea where it's like letting people know how many tokens they could have earned if they've been around a couple pages. I think there is something here, like something where it's not annoying to receive it, and it can be a positive that we could do. So we'll think about it a little bit more, and maybe even bring it up on our team meeting on Friday to see if there's any like cool concepts that Brian's thought of. But yeah, we'll dig into this a little bit more, and maybe report back next week. I guess Kara.
Yeah, I just wanted to weigh in that I feel like, in my experience, pop-ups and incentives don't necessarily create the type of participation you want. Like sometimes if you have an incentive or say like this, you need to comment because no one's commented, it can result in lower quality comments. But something I've seen be successful is having the social features be an incentive to create an account. So instead, like if this is on the roadmap, say something like you can only save or follow posts if you create an account.
That's a great idea. I like that, like added functionality that comes with having an account. That makes sense.
Totally. Yeah, because like I think lurkers generally don't convert on like the pop-up or reminders of incentives. It's usually more on the features they wish they could use, which is the lurker-friendly features like saving or following.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I like that idea a lot too.
like even just following different users, like if there's a famous scientist that I want to see all the papers that they're reading, I think that's pretty valuable, and having that be a reward for signing up makes a ton of sense. Thank you, Kara. That's a great idea.
Is following users on the roadmap?
I think we want to do it. Not sure where it's prioritized, but I think there's, yeah, like being able to follow users is definitely crucial for like a social media application.
Will it be able to recycle the code that's currently used to follow the hubs, but to follow the users?
Potentially.
Or is it absolutely different?
I think we'd have to build like kind of a new feature, but there's probably some stuff we could recycle. Cool. Does anybody else have any thoughts on bringing in lurkers?
This is perhaps a good segue into the last topic of the day for the non-RSC-based ways to gain new users. So the social features, or well, I guess the usability features would be one way to invite users. What would be our value proposition if, let's say, RSC wouldn't exist, right? So if that's the case, how would you invite users to use ResearchHub?
My thought here is we should get AMAs going, because if you could ask a question to an expert about their paper, I think to me that's a pretty compelling reason to sign up to ResearchHub if you're interested in that person's work. Satvik?
Yeah, I didn't have a solution to this. I just had a further question. So maybe this is maybe I brought up this point because I was in a Web 2 mindset, right? And maybe somebody who understands crypto economics better could explain that. Do we really want to think of ways in which RSC is not incentivizing people, or is that better for us in the long term? So maybe Jeffrey could answer that.
So I think like financial incentivization is good for some things, but not so great for other things. So like Kara said earlier, like if you want to like make sure you have like an organic quality post, I think like giving somebody 100 research coin doesn't necessarily ensure them. It actually kind of ensures that they'll do the minimum that they want to receive the payout. So I think social incentives make a lot of sense in tandem with so like RSC makes sense to like complete tasks, like maybe marketing tasks or something like that, but not so much maybe in-platform behaviors.
I think in general, the way that we're like our strategy here as a company too is to build features that are useful without ResearchCoin, and then have ResearchCoin be like the added incentive that like lowers the activation energy for people to use these features. So that way it helps to fuel the growth. But in theory, we'd like to have like an application that does still provide value, even if ResearchCoin wasn't integrated whatsoever. Because Malik?
Yeah, just to answer like a couple thoughts, and I don't know how easy it will be to implement this, but one is one thing about ResearchHub is that there are like a lot of these peer-reviewed articles that are out there that people in undergrad or grad school who have not much exposure to research can get a real chance of learning how a journal club works. This is like a giant journal club that you have access to not only the author but an editor who is overseeing answering your questions and comments. So it's a big learning opportunity for people who want to get in research, and they necessarily don't are not like, even if they don't get RSC, it's still kind of a free service that they can get to learn. I feel like when I was in undergrad and doing research, and nobody goes through like how to read a research paper, and somebody gives you 4 papers to read and you are there for ever trying to figure out. So that's one incentive that is kind of that we can give them for non-RSC based user base. And somehow we want to get the message across, like, I don't know how would be the best way to undergrad institutions in sciences, liberal arts, that, hey, there is this place that you can go to access papers and so forth. So yeah, that was just one way I thought of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And we've had a little bit of talk about hosting like AMAs, which are kind of like these paper-based journal clubs. So kind of similarly to how we should schedule a call to work on social media stuff, I think it's also worth scheduling a call. And this one, I think we should do recurring monthly of just like events ideas, planning. I've had a little bit of success doing AMAs in the past, so we could totally scale that up where it doesn't take a ton of time and like it can be pretty cool. And we can help doing like the marketing side of things. So yeah, I'll chat with Ricardo and figure out the best way to set up a call to help people start doing some events.
Just to add on top of that, I really like the idea of Moloch, of like basically being like ResearchHub being an educational platform as well. But like if we want to also like think about like steering away from ResearchCoin, we have to create, at least in my opinion, we have to create an added value that researchers can't find anywhere else. So like, for example, the blog post that Dahlia published today was really cool, something that you don't really see. Or like, for example, shared protocols where people can give advices on how to perform a specific experiments and so on. So trying to focus on things that are not within the duty of let's say traditional journals. So that could be a really good a crucial point, a key point to basically attract users apart from the financial incentive itself. And I mean, it's a work in progress, so we can maybe think about features, sequential features to add to the website.
So I've been hearing responses, I guess, of 2 types. So one is unique content based, right? So this is the only place where you can get, the posts that people have only submitted in the ResearchHub or Research Protocol or whatever else. And the other big group is perhaps organizational functionality, right? In a way, using ResearchHub as a way to gather with other users, or to use ResearchHub as a very smart RSS feed for the new articles you're interested in. What do you think we should prioritize? Is it realistic for us to expect that the editors will create enough unique content that can be found anywhere else, that ResearchHub will become used by people just because of it, or not really?
I think it's something we can think about like along the road. So as you said, Anton, like mainly here we are basically uploading papers, putting their comments, but maybe after some time we can think about, okay, now how do we, in a strategic way, like put all these comments and papers together and create something that is of value that maybe you don't find like anywhere else. Like for example, I upload specific papers with specific comments because maybe I know that at a later time I can create a document with all the papers that I uploaded and maybe put them in comparison and create something of added value for. And it doesn't have to be like every day, but it can be like once in a couple of months or so.
Yeah, I like this idea. I've honestly been thinking if it makes sense to like use the hypothesis feature as more of a bundle, not necessarily as a pro and con list, but more as a this is the bundle of research on the topic that I've been describing, right? Kind of like meta post of sorts. I guess that could be done via the regular post.
Yeah, I'm working basically on something like, I'm gonna spoiler it. I'm basically working on something like that, like a living paper, where basically you can put a bunch of papers together and then like put them in comparison and like draw conclusions and stuff like that. So it could be something that you don't see like anywhere else and can be added value. But like it's something that I'm working on, so I can probably put out something in later this week to just show you like the idea that I had. And it's basically based on the hypothesis feature on the post. Okay, so bundling, as you said, like
yeah. Kobe, how would it be hard to create a new post type that's essentially hypothesis, but without two lists? It's just going to be one list and not editable, but by anyone else. So the purpose of it would be for the creator of the post to just create an updated list of some sort.
So just you want a post type that you can just have a list of just different things. Is that what it is, Anton?
Yeah, just papers. So yeah, just a list of papers.
Yeah, that's interesting. Was that you? I forget what it was, but someone brought it up. Like basically, like in GitHub, like some of the most popular repositories are like literally just a GitHub repo with a list of different links for a topic. So like if you want to learn about like JavaScript, you have like a lot of links to really useful resources. So you're thinking more like what is the use case here? Like a list of papers for what purpose?
Yeah, kind of like a collection, right? Imagine if you had a question, oh, I would like, what is the contemporary opinion on, I don't know, alcohol and creativity, right? And I could make a list for you. Here are the articles that you should read, not necessarily making a hypothesis, right? Because hypothesis is hard. I don't know if it works or not, but these are the list of papers that are the most prominent in the field that I recommend you to read if you would like to learn more.
Yeah, one of the things, so I would say a couple of things here. Thing number one, you could use the ELN to, I guess, like at the moment, for the time being, just use like create a post with a bunch of different links. But then again, I don't know if you want to do that. I see the use case here. I see the use. Let me think about that a little bit, Anton. And yeah, I'll get back to you, because it's like you basically want to not necessarily publish in like scientific content, just like a curated list of things. And where does that belong on a site? Yeah, good point.
Just for context here, I know that PubPeer has this feature where they made collections, and I'm not sure if it's getting used a ton. So yeah, it could just be in their implementation, but something to learn from for sure.
Yeah, it could be like going back to this follow feature. If you, or like save, basically you can save, you can curate your own lists of different papers or whatever. So let's say I just created my own list of different things, then I could share it with others. That's one way of doing it, but it might not solve the use case you're thinking about, Anton. But yeah, well, let me think about that.
I just shared PubPeer's app here in the chat. It's called Periodicals. And I think the idea is like a post where they just share a bunch of papers around a single given topic.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Other thoughts on what we can offer to users other than the RSC aspect?
One thing that comes to mind, and I'm not sure if this is on the roadmap already, is continuing to have like really high quality entries. So potentially as a follow-up to the editor program, having something for cleanup, for like metadata cleanup almost, and asking people for a certain like reward or as part of a bounty to clean up those entries. That's not necessarily like a different reward than the RSC, but I think that probably maintaining high value users and contributors would depend on not having a ton of duplicates or incorrect metadata.
So just whatever we are doing already, but focus more on clean abstracts, clean titles, clean UIs and stuff.
More so allowing that to be an avenue of participation. I think there's probably a subset of users that aren't captured in the editor program who aren't interested in submitting papers, but would be interested in the cleanup or double checking of things.
Yeah, I like this a lot. This reminds me a little bit of like a trial program that OSF had kind of floated past us, where they wanted us to create token incentives for just random people on the internet to basically confirm if pre-registrations assigned to preprints were the accurate ones. And so I like the idea of using token incentives for like maybe not like highly trained academics, but just any person who wants to come in, earn a little bit of value for making sure that the author's names match on the metadata to like the actual paper. I even think like when people use citation managers, they're not like 100% in uploading metadata. So I wonder if there's a way that we could even like open source this information somehow, like use ResearchCoin as like a incentive to create like an actual accurate database of metadata for papers. It would be pretty large scale, but I could see that actually providing value for a lot of different people where they don't have to go into the papers themselves and can rely on accurate metadata.
That reminds me of your collaboration with the OSF.
Yeah, totally. I think tokens are great incentives for kind of like Amazon Turk kind of like activities. It's a great suggestion though, Kara. Thank you. We're at about an hour now. Does anybody else have anything on this topic? Nick?
I just wanted to add something real quick. I think if because for me the value of ResearchHub is the social part, just talking with people. If there was, so I think any way to kind of boost that people-to-people interaction, or being able to keep tabs on what people are talking about, or if there was a discussion you found interesting, being able to save that in some way to kind of facilitate that. That's just, for me, that's the value I get from it. So I just wanted to kind of add that in there. That's the social part, I think, is what makes it innovative in my mind.
It's a great point. We actually we did a interview earlier today with another engineer who might join the team, and he echoed those comments, essentially saying like the social interactions are the coolest part about coming to ResearchHub as a new user. So yeah, 100% agree. And the social features are pretty big. Just to be able to follow scientists, people being able to like show off how many followers they have, I think is like a good reputation thing. Yeah, it's a great point. I think we probably should prioritize some more like social media oriented features. Yeah, but thank you, Nick. Does anybody else have any last minute thoughts? Cool. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining. There's a lot of great feedback here. We'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Everyone.
See you, everybody.
Everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye.